Recording in progress.
Okay.
Sweet. Whoever faked it, I thought it was real for a second. I was like, I haven't clicked the button yet. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm moving like Zoom windows all around.
I almost
right.
got you guys.
You did get me. I was like, I didn't click it. It's already saying it. I knew I was going to click.
That's how you know he's probably been to like every Bildr hour.
Cool. So real quick, I've got an edit. I've got like a user profile with an edit profile. Dorian actually helped me out with this yesterday. I know that it's working on the edit profile function. It's updating the record and all that. So I click save. And the way I have the data listener set currently, it's not either listening or it's set incorrectly or whatever. So I just had a few questions around that, because you can see if I click out and click in, it's still there. But if I refresh, it is actually uploading the new updated record. So you can see 1, 2. So that's the new data there. This is the page. I have the listener. This edit profile is opening in here. I have the listener on the account detail. And if I move more Zoom windows, I actually, I've tried this a few different times. This was my last iteration. So yeah, basically, if you could help me out, be much appreciated.
Yeah. Can you go, let's do the name first. If you click on that first one, and just show me the data binding. Just look at all those things. So that all looks good. And I'm assuming the save button saves to that same field on the other edit profile screen.
Actually, I would think so, but let's check.
Just confirm all the steps through. Sometimes these things are just like some silly thing, So that looks good. And then back on the other page in the data binding page flow, or the page binding page flow, sorry. Yeah, I just want to look and see, is it just running that? And then on the page load, what does that flow do?
Yeah, this is setting the data into elements. Basically, I did this a while ago, but I'm trying to think. I don't think the data bindings were working, so I was setting them with the set element.
Got it.
Yeah.
I wonder if these are conflicting with each other, and this is executing. Can we try copy this action real quick? Just copy that one. Just use the 3 dots on the element set value. Just the action inside, that very first one. Yeah, just copy that and then just delete that one out of there. And then let's go over to the preview and just refresh the page and start, do that process again. Because what I want to see is could be a race conditions timing issue thing where it's that thing hasn't gotten it from the cache yet, but the action's already executing and it runs and sets the old value or something. And then, it's all just conflicting.
Totally.
It'd probably be the first thing I check here.
3, 4.
No. And if you go out and in, is it doing the same thing?
Yeah, looks like.
What in the world?
Three, 4, 4, 5. So it is basically the same.
Yeah.
Same function.
Can we go back into the studio real quick? And let's look at these actions here. Because the set value first name and last name definitely don't need to be there, right? Because they're all bound. These things. Now that it's all bound, you had it one way, but you don't need it now. Is there anything else in here that could be doing something similar where it's overwriting it?
I feel like I had a second page binding flow at the end of a flow, so it would run the bindings again.
Which would rerun that.
Yeah, I think I deleted it, to be honest.
Hey, I've got a question. I think, so you're saying you have the data listener on the main page.
This one here, yeah.
Do you have any setup on the actual profile page? Because from my understanding, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're using it nested like that on the main page, you should have the data listener for add remove, meaning like if there are any new records added or removed, it automatically does that. But on the profile page, you should have one that's listening for changes to that specific field.
I think it's only if, well, that was gonna be my next thing, is to try to change up the data listener and see if maybe there's something, maybe there's like a bug in there or something. But what you're referring to, Corey, I think is different, where there is an instance where we basically don't default data listeners on unless there's a listener set up on a page. So if you had your edit profile page as a root page, like with its own route, where it went like, you know, /edit/ whatever, and you didn't have a listener set up on that page, that wouldn't trigger the push out to any other pages that are listening for it. And it's
Gotcha.
something that we will change later, but I think the way that you have this done,
Wow.
like the reason it never really gets brought up is because no one usually people aren't doing edit screens like that. Normally they're like popped up inside of another root page and it's fine. Then you
Okay.
it doesn't require it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think let's look at these different limiters here.
So 2 questions I had with these limiters, and one is I have it set to listen to users, but I was trying to set it as current user, but it automatically defaults back to users. I don't know
Oh,
if
that's
that's
interesting.
a thing.
I don't think it
Also-
matters in this case because it's actually gonna, it would be users either way because you're editing that user, and current user is actually just an internal pointer to users anyways.
Yeah,
It's like
okay.
underneath it, it's the same thing. But I'm wondering if this only on certain fields with an empty limiter is actually like, maybe there's a bug where if it has that, it just like crashes it out or something.
Yeah.
Can we,
So
can
can
you
I ask
put,
a question on
Yeah.
the on add and remove? Is that like actually adding or deleting a record from the table, or would an
Correct.
update still be an add or remove function?
no, that would only run if a record is deleted or added to the collection.
Okay.
So in here, you definitely would want like change that to only on certain fields and then choose the first name field. Was that one empty when we came in here? On that last, the limiter
might
field,
have
it was empty, I think. Let's put it like that, leave it like this and go refresh your preview again and try it again. Cause I'm wondering if maybe there's a bug where like, if one of those is empty, it just like, you know, exits or something and doesn't actually run it. I think I already saw it change back there. No, I didn't see it change. It was my imagination. Dang it. Go back. Yeah, do it one more time over there though. On the preview, like the same way you did it before, like go back to the list. Like I just want to make sure that it's not, yeah, do an edit, but then instead of refreshing, like just go out of the list and back in and reload it just to make sure it's not.
No.
Man, this is something very strange.
Okay.
So is it current user that you're updating there?
It should be. Let's have a look.
Well, I mean, this is the
Yeah.
current, like the whole point
Like
of
the
this is you're
login,
editing your
just like
own
your own
profile,
profile.
right? Yeah, maybe there's something just specific, like a bug specifically to this. Like just with current user or something, because this is set up perfectly now. I don't know of any other steps to do here. I think for this one, probably good. Like I can do this afterward. I can like go sit and
Totally. I don't want
step
to like.
through. We don't have to take
Yeah.
everybody's time for me to step through. Let's try one other thing real quick before we like. I think I can do one thing to maybe confirm it. In the update on the let's see, in the account detail page on the other page, make a new flow. We're just going to use it to test. I guess it's actually the same thing you had in there, similar before, of the one where you're setting values into elements, the page load set values into elements. Yeah, that one. Let's remove that from here completely real quick. And then go into that flow separately, the page load set values into elements flow. And I think you still have it copied, so I think you can just click paste and it'll paste that one back in. Yeah. And then on the edit profile page in the save action. Yeah, and there. What are those two run flows at the bottom? Cool. And then what's the
That's
next
just
one?
like edit the success message, and this is running that.
So if this is running, like
Maybe.
it's not even, if this is running and it's not doing it, then whatever is happening here is not actually from the data listener problem. But this could be creating another race condition that would cause it, that could, maybe it's causing a bug too. Because if this is running, it's running in the queue as soon as that finishes. And then also at the same time, the data listener is trying to update the same thing. Maybe they're conflicting there. So maybe try removing this from here. Let's try that one more time. And then if that's not it, we can just debug it afterward.
Cool. I was like ready to put my head through the screen yesterday, trying to figure out.
There's
Sorry.
something strange here for
Looks
sure.
like it's our fault.
No.
Drew, I see you joined the call. Do you see anything or can you think of anything that maybe we could try?
No, I kind of missed the beginning, so I'm not totally sure what's going on yet.
Yeah, I think it's,
Listeners gone whack.
I would bet there's, I don't even think it's data listeners. I think it's,
Oh.
I think it's actually probably like current user cache. So like the way that works is the data change gets cached locally in the browser and it gets saved at the same time, right? So it's like it updates local and then sends that thing out. And then any actions that are running are just going to use that local cache. And I bet whatever those actions are then referencing to go pull that data back in. So the listeners use that data, and because you're in the same session, it's not like having to go to the server and back, it's just using what's local. So I would bet because the action didn't do it and the data listener didn't do it, it's probably that cache either isn't updated yet, isn't updating properly, or it's referenced incorrectly in JavaScript, like the actual JavaScript memory of that isn't being handled properly. It's something like that, but we'll figure it out for sure. And I'm sure we'll have a workaround for it as well once I figure out what's actually happening.
Okay.
No worries. Thanks so much.
Alex, who's added to that project? Do you need, Mark, are you added to it?
I can add you to it. Easy done.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ping you after. Dorian's in it.
Cool.
Drew could be in there, I think. I don't know, but I'll
I
add you.
can't remember.
Yeah, Dorian's at the Crentist right now, so he won't be in today's call, but I'm sure he can help. Okay, so Micah, I see your question. We'll definitely get to that as well. Okay, so next up, Randy, if you are down for showing what you're working on. I know you had asked that you needed some help displaying data in a grid list from a variable, which is the response of an API call. So whenever you are ready, you can show us what you're working on.
Yeah, great to meet you guys. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so simple user profiles here. And so this is my kind of main page with my grid list. This is my row. And on my grid list, I have a flow on page load, which is an API called the Xano, which is just a simple get of basically users. And I dropped in my response to set this element down here API as that response, so I can make sure I'm seeing it. So if I go out to my page and I refresh, I can see that I'm getting a proper response here, right? But my question here is, how do on this row, if I'm setting this from a variable, how am I setting this element value from a variable that is on the parent page? You're on mute, Mark.
Just realized, sorry.
You're good.
So when you set, when you change it to set it back into the grid instead of into the API text box there, the way that it works is that API response. So if you go over to the preview again, where the way it
Yeah.
is right now, yeah, so basically each of those properties inside of each object is going to be a variable inside of each row. So each object of the JSON array gets represented as a row in the grid. And then each property inside of each object gets represented as a variable inside of that row. So in order to map the name, you would basically just grab, like, if you wanted to say first name, you would just, is it first dash name, I think. So
Yeah.
in the context on the other side, if this was first name, you just do first dash name. That's it. Like all it would need to be is first
You actually
dash name.
don't need the A. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because what's happened is it's already, basically the core has already parsed that whole JSON response and put each object into the rows. And then you'll have to do also the, I didn't see if you set it to make it actually load into the grid instead of into the text box.
To load, what am I loading into the grid?
On the other page, on the
On this page
main
here?
page. Yeah,
Yep.
inside the API call action in the flow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go into
That flow is just setting
there.
as a variable. You might already be doing it.
If you scroll down. Oh, I see. How is it setting it into the text box right now? What's doing it into the text box? Magic.
That's a
crazy,
good
yeah.
question.
Oh, data binding.
Oh,
That's
here,
cool.
right here, right here.
I see. So you're probably getting, so because the order of operations that are gonna happen here, it could just be that things are getting, so in that action you have, can you go back to the flow one more time? I don't remember the order that it was in. So page load, and then it goes page binding. Yeah, so make sure, put a wait between those two real quick. So what that'll do is force it to finish the API call and set the response into the variable before it runs the page binding.
Okay.
But you can also, if you prefer to, you can use it as a variable like this, just like you're doing, like that should work fine. And then you would save the response. You could though save it as, instead of saving the response as a variable in that drop-down menu,
Right.
you can change that to like set it directly into the grid, and it'll just like set that straight in. But it's probably not filling out the grid. Like I can't tell right now if the grid actually has the data, you know? If you set it into the element using that dropdown, change that to set it to an element and then select the grid, it'll basically go get the API call and just immediately set it into the grid. And then the grid, each row should have the data, and you're binding on that full name field where you set it to the first name. That should just work.
Well, or if you already have it bound, you might already have it bound to the grid. If you click on that grid element, you might already have this done, right?
It might be. Yeah. What's on the, if you click on the grid element on the page itself, what's set up in the data there? Like on the page.
This here.
The main page that lists all of them. So yeah, just click right there. Yep. And then if the data's bound, it looks like, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
but
just from that response.
Yeah, I'm just wondering though.
Because it
I
does
don't
the API call, it waits and then runs page binding, and it's working for that text field. It's probably working for the grid list.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually done it on a grid list like that before.
I feel like this should work, but did you just test it and it wasn't showing the value? Or do we not test it yet?
It wasn't when I had the response saved as a variable. I haven't tried to set it directly into that element.
Before you do
I
that,
think that's the same thing, but you could try it. It's a little bit, it like removes a step. So there's a chance it could help, but I feel like it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
well, the only thing is that, so the way that those set value, when that data, yeah, this record value thing, the way that that works is it's actually using like a core thing called set value. And the text box is one piece of JavaScript that interprets the set value call in one way, and the grid is a separate piece of JavaScript that could be doing it differently. And I've never actually done it this way, so I don't, maybe it just doesn't work that way and we just don't know about it. I would say for now, let's just see if setting it into the element like solves it. And if it does, then we know current page is good, and yeah, just throw the grid list. And I think that's all you'll need to do. That's interesting. It's like it's
Got
like
me
it's not even-
nowhere.
it's like it's not even getting the data or something. Can you chat me or chat into the chat here that
This
your-
might be replacing it, right? Because we didn't remove that data binding of the variable and the API calls happening before data binding.
100, yeah, that's exactly what that is. Yeah, so now because we changed it to set into the element directly, if you go back to click on the grid, yeah, and then go back to
Mhm.
data and undo that, yeah. You can just go choose select field at the top, yeah, select option, sorry. Yeah. And now good call, Drew, yeah. But we're still not getting the data inside of there.
Is there another key, like another variable name that doesn't have a dash in it? I mean, that shouldn't matter, right? But I feel like it's maybe it's weird because there's
Shouldn't
a
matter.
dash in the variable name.
I mean,
Shouldn't
we
matter.
could just, you could just go to, just drop in ID. Should work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a dash should do anything though, but
Yeah, I feel like I
I've been
should.
wrong like 4 times today already, so who knows? Yeah. This is super weird.
I'm
if
not saying try
you-
removing the static text of the field. I remember that from something else where we had to do that. I don't know.
Just remove that.
It should just
Add
replace it.
those chat.
Yeah, try that.
Mm. No, it's not a JS loop, Chris. I don't think it's actually like a loop. It's actually, I mean, I think it is effectively acting like a loop, but it sets the data into the grid, and then each row is actually its own queue happening. You know,
So if I'm not saving that response as a variable and I'm setting it directly into the element, my option here for data is only either from that field or from a variable, which is why I was doing it which is why I was saving that response as a variable.
I see.
And the variable, I don't remember exactly where it was. It was I had to indicate, I had to make I obviously had to choose that this was a child page to create the relationship with that parent page.
Well, the way
That's
that-
actually done automatically. That's the confusing part there. So like what you're saying is all totally correct logically, but Bildr will, when you set an array into a grid, Bildr takes care of all the parent child stuff for you, and each grid
Okay.
row, they have like the variable is basically automatic.
I see. Okay. So, but based on everything that I'm seeing, obviously I don't understand all of the behind the scenes workings. In order to be able to grab that value, I can't grab it without it being a variable.
Well, in
Well,
this
you-
case, you can, because you're setting the response of the API into the grid element. And so that grid element is literally creating a variable. So you have
Got
like
it.
key value
Okay.
pairs in each object. It creates a
Okay.
variable for every key.
Okay. So
let's-
even though
let's-
I'm not declaring that variable, it still acts.
It's
as a
happening,
variable.
yeah.
Okay.
Or it should be
Yes.
happening.
So this would definitely need to be the key name that is expected from Xano of the record, right? So it'd be like first dash name should be there, but we should do it drone set and go. We can inspect that page. And we can actually see what data is inside that grid. Like we can see what's in there right now on the preview, and just see like maybe the data is messed up in there or something. There's something totally different happening than we're thinking. I think you'll have to, right click on the grid itself, like in between right there, perfect. And then right click on it on the UL row in the inspector there. Yeah, just on the text, yeah, right click right there and do store as global variable. It's that very bottom option. And then you can open up the console. You can either make that bigger, just go to console, yep. And just type temp1 dot get value with a capital V. Yep, and then open close parentheses. And just hit enter on that. Oh, without the, I'm not sure what it, yeah, there you go. Yeah, just hit enter there. Okay, so open that up. So it does have an array of 4 objects. So it
Yeah,
does
that's
have the
because I had
data
I
inside.
had my grid list set to limit of 4, so that would make sense.
So, I mean, it has the data, so it
Yeah,
should
that's so
definitely
strange.
be,
It's all there.
And here's,
let's-
I mean, let's
yeah, let's do it manually. I want to see if we do it manually, if it'll work. So if you go back over to the, go back into the studio and, yeah, on the row page, you're on the row page, go to the flow, go to the page load flow, and just, oh, wait,
Wait, is that why? Yeah.
this is,
No.
I think that's probably why it was dying, actually.
Yeah.
But you need to, I think you have to go fix the data binding on it. Because I think it still says API response in the binding also. Because you were changing it back and forth. In the, like, click on the full name text box inside the row, like in the element, and on the data tab, I
Oh,
think, yeah, that needs to change back to like first dash name or whatever it is. And then now go refresh the here and let's see if we get it. Still not, huh? Okay, let's do one more thing then. Let's go, go back in there and let's go to the flows and page
Page load.
load. Yep, and then
set a
let's do
value.
Wait, that
exactly.
page load didn't have a page binding flow in it?
I think you probably removed it. Oh, but if without the page
Yeah.
binding, it won't run.
Yeah,
Oh
it's not
yeah,
gonna run. So if
Did
you
you-
put that back, it's a
That's why.
nest. It's not add actions, it's nest. Yeah.
yeah. That's why. At some point, you were probably trying to figure it out and remove the page
Correct.
binding from it. And I think that'll, yeah.
What?
Still no.
What in the
This is
world?
wild.
Hey, listen,
we're-
guys, we gotta figure this out because so far we're like down 0.
we're gonna do it manually now. So let's do an let's do the set value, and yep. Oh, you're good right there. Just choose the choose that one, and then the value should come from a variable first dash name. You're good on current
Let's
page.
see, current
It's-
page.
Yeah, because it's automatic again. It's
All right,
confusing.
that's
but
where
it's-
that's
yeah.
where it's super confusing. Yeah, I
Mhm.
kept trying to grab it from a parent.
Mhm. You
And you
could actually
technic-
do that. There's
you
a way
could-
to, but you'd have to do a little bit extra,
Well,
you'd
I
have-
was grabbing it from a parent because I was saving that response as a variable and not setting it into the elements.
Yeah.
The
The only
tricky
thing
part
you'd
is the
have-
parent's an array. So you'd have to like call the parent variable and call the correct index. It like adds a
Yeah,
step.
that's
It gets
yeah,
a little
yeah,
harder.
exactly. And that's that was not fun. All right, I'm still stuck.
But this still isn't working.
This is crazy.
What?
I don't think
Wait,
there's an
that's-
API action now, is there?
What's
What
that?
do you mean?
I didn't see an API action on the page load or the page bindings.
Well, on this one there isn't because it's on we're on the row here. But
Oh, it's on the
this should,
package.
so can you go back into the preview one more time? And refresh it one more time, just make sure we're totally clear, like totally clean. And then now right click in between the rows again, do this stores global variable again. I just want to check it again, make sure that like nothing was, something else didn't break in the meantime. This half of my problem when I'm trying to figure something out and I like change one
Store
thing,
this
breaks anything.
the UL.
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
And then that same, you can probably just do up arrow. Should get you the temp1 dot and then dot get value. Yep, with the parens. Yep. And I just want to make sure we actually have the data still. So open it up.
Yep.
Okay. So let's do another thing. Let's go back into the studio. And
As
in your-
frustrating as this is for you guys, it's at least somewhat comforting that
Yeah.
I'm not losing my mind here.
and 100% and also 100% on what Web3 DevDoc said there. Can you copy that element set value action, the one that's in there? Yeah, copy it and then delete it from here. Just like totally delete it.
Yep.
And then create a new flow and you can just call it anything you want. There you go. And then paste in here. Okay, and then now on like the company text box on there, click on the company text box.
Here.
Yep, right there. And go to the events and on click, just go to the events up there and on click, run that anything flow. And then let's go
Got it.
back over to travel pro list and refresh it again. So like now it's not, it's like we're totally outside.
Right, yeah.
We have a variable, we click the button. Is it setting
All
it?
right,
Okay.
that
so-
works.
All right, so all right, so we've got it now from here to there. All right. So it's something in between that's keeping it from, it's gotta be, I keep saying race conditions all day today, and I think that's gonna be it's gotta be what's going on here. Like how else? So the way that the grid works, and this was the confusion you were having, is like when it sets the grid value with the response from the API, the grid row doesn't even begin to render any of the elements prior to the variables being set. So there should be no way for the like no flows will run, no elements render, nothing else occurs prior to those variables being available. And so there shouldn't be any way to have that stop. Let's do one other thing. If you go back into the flows, let's remove the page binding again from the
From the
page load. Yep, and instead let's nest in anything into the page load. So go nest and choose anything, and then let's go refresh and see if we like maybe hone it in on something's up with the page binding happening in there or something. Okay, now that is crazy. Okay, let's try one other thing.
But that
Maybe
means
this
race
is-
conditions, right?
Maybe. Let's go. There's one other place let's check out. Go back into the studio one more time. And then go to the elements tab on this page at the top left. And then click page body at the very
What?
top of the page body at
Oh,
the very
page
top.
body, got it.
And this is why the flow right here, the page load flow is set to page
Oh.
binding.
Yep.
I think probably when you were trying to figure out what was going on, that got changed also. So what was happening is none of those things were running.
We're
on
actually
page load.
running.
It was running the
Mm.
page binding, but then we removed the page binding and just set it. So now if you remove that, nest the page binding back in, and let's make sure, I think it was set still. Can't remember where we left it.
Boom.
That was it. All right. We got to step through every
Well
piece. It happens.
done.
I'm
Alright.
so glad we got to the end. Because some of those are just so nerve wracking of like, did we just introduce like the craziest bug into production with the release this week or something?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I was like, how did this not get caught? But,
Man.
all
Yeah.
right, good
Thanks,
stuff.
guys.
So yeah, and that conceptually that idea of the grid list is a representation of a JSON array. Like
That's
if you
good to know.
make that
helps.
assumption, yeah,
Yeah,
that'll get you through most of those things.
awesome. Okay, cool.
Thank you, Randy.
Cool.
That was fun. That was fun to watch. Well done. All right. So let's see, what do we have next? Nuno, are you on the call? Yes. Are you ready to go over the issue that you were having?
Everyone. So
Okay.
let me share my screen.
Yes, and just walk us through, what you're trying to do, and then we'll see if we can help you out.
So are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do is to upload a file into a backend that is somewhat similar to Xano. So it's called Directual. And what I'm trying to do is just do a post call to an URL and then send the file using multi-part form data. So in my test, what I did, I just put in the file upload and a button. And this button, I tried using two different flows, and the two alternatives gives out an error. So using the API call that is built in, because I didn't know how to get the file in order to give it to as a parameter. What I did is I just added a JavaScript function that just gets the file from the document. So I added an ID. It gets the file and then sets it into a variable. And then the API call gets that variable. And what I get if I test this, let me just refresh this. What I get is a 500 error.
Yeah.
And checking on the server, I don't have anything in here. But
I know exactly what's going on. I didn't want to stop you too early to
Yeah.
make sure, but like
go ahead.
I don't think I was talking to you about this last week. It was someone else. But correct me if I'm wrong. But that multi-part form data, when you send the file through the API action that Bildr has, that action goes to Bildr's server and then makes the actual API call from Bildr's server. Something on Bildr's server end is like not handling that file correctly. So I went through this whole thing trying to debug because I didn't realize that, and came to the conclusion that we actually need to fix it on our end. And so there's a workaround where you would make the API call client side. Like instead of using the API call action, I was in their project. I made a new custom action to make basically to do this. Yeah, exactly. Is do that. But you
Yes.
have to, oh, you have it. Yeah, you have it almost all the way there. So the last step that you need to do is you need to take that file. So you have the variable called file there. You basically have to convert that to something else. So, and I don't even know, I didn't finish it out. And then I had to leave for this conference we're at, so I didn't get to finish it. But basically, you need to create, you can find the code like on Stack Overflow, but you need to take that file that you have and turn it into a blob, I think, or I forget exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, I might have to like
Yeah,
look it up.
I've
after.
seen the code. I've seen the code about it, but I can send this file. I just get a course error. I don't know what it is. What is a course error? But I can change it so you can see it. What happens?
Okay. Yeah.
So when I reload this, the error is different. So I get access control allow origin error.
Mm-hmm.
But the file gets through. So if I check here, the file gets to the server, but it outputs an error.
I wonder if you can somebody else might know this better than me, but there's some parameters that you can set when you make that call for cores. You can like allow cores. Maybe there's something in there.
Yeah, on the server, I noticed that there was a configuration on the server side, security settings, but I just don't know how to work with this. I just input it into here the URLs, but it's doing the same thing. I don't know if this is an error from the server side or if it's something on the side of Bildr. I just can't understand where it's coming from. But
Well, it puts the file on the
goes
server, so it's probably a Bildr error, but I don't know. That's pretty confusing.
Yeah, I wish Dorian was in here. He's
Mm.
out of the three of us, he's probably the most advanced in understanding how that all works. But yeah, there's some headers I think you can add. Because we've had to do that in the past where we had to basically add specific headers for specific pieces of it. Maybe someone knows. Oh, Chris just chatted one. Access control. I think that is actually an access control. Yeah. You add that as a header on the API request, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, try that.
access where do I add this?
In
the
that
API
custom
action.
JavaScript you had.
Oh, right in this. I forgot it was custom JavaScript. Yeah, in here as part of the head.
So
headers.
let's see. I don't think you're sending any headers right now, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
Actually, don't you have to send the multi-part form data header? Maybe that's why it's not working also.
Well, I believe, well, I'm not a coder. I was a lot of years ago. Yeah, this is interesting as well. This is I can show you because it's happening live. This is an error I get. I don't know what it is that is happening. You notice that when I click on the large line,
Oh, yeah.
the code editor goes all the way to the right. And the way I fix this is that I need to move the zoom on the browser, and then it stays. It's very strange. Well,
That zoom is a good fix. I've seen that before. I just thought it was that's a bug basically.
yeah. So, but I don't know. I don't know what to put this. I just copied this from the Postman request. So I did in the Postman. It worked, and then I copied the request. And the way I saw this online on I don't know where I saw it, but it was probably in Stack Exchange, is that by creating these objects to form data, you are indeed telling the request that it's a multi-part form data request instead of a JSON one. But I'm not sure about it.
I think that probably makes sense because the file is getting sent to the server. So that part makes sense. And then now we just need to add in a header. So you have method, body, and redirect in there. There's another way to write headers, but I don't know like the full syntax off the top of my head, but it's probably headers. So you can actually like where you are, yeah, do a comma after follow on the line before, but then, write headers. And it's, it'll be like an object. So you do open a curly bracket. And then in, I think single quotes or quotes, you'd write the first part. Let me see. That access control allow origin from the chat. It has to be exactly like that with the capitalized. Yeah. And then exactly up.
And then this is the URL for the server.
The URL that you're sending from. So probably your preview URL.
Okay. Yeah. The preview.
I think, I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong too, because I'm also spaced out from doing events all day and trying to do this off the top of my head.
Fraser said that, see the headers in Postman.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got the form data header there. Host.
Yeah, I don't know if it was put there automatically or. Yeah, should I test this?
Yeah, I think finish. Yeah,
it is?
test out. Did you finish writing that? I didn't see. Okay, yeah. I would say test that just in case. I mean, I'm not sure, but.
Okay. Yeah, it all included the same thing. Okay, yeah, but I have a where to start looking now, but because what my problem was I didn't know where to start even, so I went into as long as I could with my knowledge. So if this is something that is a header, I might look into it, and also the blob solution that you pointed out earlier. So yeah, I'll try that out,
And you get the
see
same
if it works.
in Postman. You get the same CORS error or something similar. Like, what are you getting here? I guess you wouldn't, right?
Well,
It's just successful when you run this.
Yes, it is. I can
Yeah,
delete this.
because it's not running that like a. I don't know how a Postman actually does it. Is it running it just like a client side send? Like, how does it do it?
Yeah, I mean, just sends it directly.
Is that all
I mean,
it's doing?
you
Yeah.
know,
Like it's not doing anything through like a Postman server backend somewhere, right?
I don't think so anyway. Yeah.
Then you should be able to just like repeat the headers, right? I mean, like all those, if it's the same, it's the same.
Well,
If it's
see
running
that the
client
part on
side.
the right is what he copied. That's coming from that's like Postman saying this is how you replicate this exactly. you know?
Yeah.
So it's weird that it's not working. It should, like, doing this
Yeah.
method should always work.
I wonder if it has something to do with like the headers that we have on all of our sites in the preview there, you know, like it's something we're telling the browser from the beginning, like we don't do this thing or something.
I mean,
I'm, like,
maybe,
out
but
of my
I've
depth
done
here,
what
but-
I've done this setup before and it's worked. Like, it's not like every time. It's, I think the things that stands out to me is that the file gets sent to the server. That's the part that makes no sense, because if you're getting that error, it shouldn't be putting the file into the server or into, you know, where your API
Right.
into.
Yeah, it's weird that it's working and then also saying,
Yeah.
you know, cross origins basically like you're not allowed to do that, right? So
Apco did just chat a suggestion of I think something that you can put in the headers. I don't know if you want to try that or.
it's like
Except
manually
content
replicate all
type,
the
and when you
headers.
type there, content type would be multi-part form data.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I guess.
Basically be
it's
like-
not formatted.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Like try copying all those headers in at some point or something and just, I mean, this is how I code. It's just, I'm gonna try it and then remove one at a time and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so copying all of
Yeah, and it's
this.
strange that he's still getting the course error with that header I put in. Because
Yeah.
usually when I go to write some JavaScript and I, do that, it's fine. So yeah, I'm a little baffled right now though.
It might be that
That-
accept header actually that's doing it. That one had accept */*. It could be something like that too. But yeah, copying them all is basically the way to make sure. Except not those ones you're pasting there aren't going to be correct because that's different than what Postman says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except they all say like calculated when request is sent. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I think you can just do multi-part form data for that one.
So should I copy all of them?
I would say don't copy content length or host because they don't really have real values. User agent, I can't imagine you need that. I would say try the accept for sure. And I would say, yeah, those last three, I would copy all those.
Okay. I don't know if this is case sensitive or not.
I think it is. That was a good catch.
Yeah, so it's all of them, right?
Outside in the water.
Yeah, the same.
I think what Fraser said was a good idea too. In Postman, you can go to the network tab and see what it actually sent as the output. Maybe it does some formatting on it.
That's a new one for me. The network tab where.
I think like open up the open up debugger in Chrome or in the
Oh,
browser
okay.
and then run it and you'll be able to see what it actually sends. Yeah, so somewhere in here, yeah, maybe it's the request one.
Or maybe that blob,
Blob
one. Too,
one,
right?
yeah.
The blob is the image, I think. So I don't know. Oh, maybe it is running
Doing-
through their server.
Yeah, but this file was uploaded to Postman, so they might be getting the
Yeah.
image from somewhere, right? Must be
Right.
hosted somewhere.
Yeah, and they're probably, maybe they're actually doing some stuff server side, and it's not going to get a course error on if if it's running through their backend. That's super strange. I'm just surprised it's going. I'm surprised of two things. One is it's going through, like it's working with the course error, and then the other one is that like Chris said, that because that's kind of like the catch-all, isn't it? The header that Chris chatted originally. That's just like the thing.
Yeah,
That
but
let it
I've
all
also
go.
seen that not work. Like that doesn't, it usually works, stuff like that, but like sometimes it wouldn't. Usually if I see this happening, it would be like because you're sending to an HTTP from HTTPS or something. And but like I was looking at all that and I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I mean, one thing is I'm gonna figure this out anyway at some point, like probably next week when I get back, or if I have a chance while I'm here. And then longer term, I'm gonna put a thing in for us, like for our devs to go fix this in Bildr's course so we can send this correctly automatically. So I think this will get resolved in a different way, but I feel like we should also be able to figure this out now. Like it's so close and it doesn't make sense why it's not working.
I think for now too, you can move past it with the course error. If it's sending the doc. Drew, what were you thinking that you can do here? Were you thinking a custom action type that handles different things, or what?
Yeah, so I did this before, except there was a slight difference. I can't even remember the exact specifics, but it was like I was getting the image blob from a URL instead of like the uploader element or something. So I basically recreated it in someone's project. I wish I could remember any of the details. I'm just like a little fried right now, but I recreated it with the custom action and everything was working except that the blob from the URL, I needed to make it a blob from an image, or it was a blob from a data URI is what I was using. And I needed to make it a blob from like how the image uploader works. So it was just that one slight tweak. I assumed that if I would make that tweak, it would have worked, but I didn't actually get to finish it out. So, but it would be like a custom action that I could easily share, or we can make it. The downfall of that side is if you have an API key, which in this case you don't, I don't think, I didn't see one, so you'd be fine. But in the one I was making, if you have an API key, you'd get exposed to the browser. So it's not like a great solution, but it was kind of a workaround solution.
Yeah, the
And
API
Dorian-
key in this case being sent on as a parameter.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. So yeah, so
So it's
really
exposed.
the solution I'm saying, like you could get past it with testing, but you'd want to switch it out in production anyway, because everyone could see your API key if they wanted to.
So Dorian just joined the call. Do you think there's anything that he might be able to see? Should we try to run through this with him, or did
I
we
think
kind
this
of
should.
where it could?
I think if we're gonna run through it again, we should like maybe just get that the URL, the preview link. If it's okay with you, Nuno, we go in and like we can just go like hammer it a few times and see if we can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because then it's also an hour in, so I want to make sure we have time to get to everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should definitely figure this out because that's super weird that it would be.
Okay.
I don't know. Drew knows a lot more about it than I do, and Dorian knows a lot more about it than I
Yeah.
do. But
Nuno, could you chat us is it the preview link? Is that what you want, Mark? Does anyone need to be added to the project?
I mean, I think we should recreate this scenario, and it sounds like Drew already has an action that's pretty close. Maybe actually send us the PDF file that you're using, just make sure like we're using the exact same test scenario. And then I don't know, Drew, you tell me too, like what are you thinking in terms of that custom action type?
I mean, I have to finish the other one anyway. It's not you, Nuno, right? It's a different person, right? Just to make sure. I wasn't helping you with this last week, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
So yeah, I have to finish that one anyway. So really it's like if I make the change, I think, and it works, I can just give you that. It would probably just work for you as well. And then what I need to do is get one of the Bildr devs to fix it in the API call action, because the way you set up the API call action originally should work. It's just like our fault that it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like if we would have had that fix out, you would have just never even run into this. You would have used the API call action, everything would have worked perfectly. So that's actually the real solution that we need to do. But to debug, I mean, I would say I could look at your specific one and try to do it, but it's probably smarter for me to finish out that other action first. And if it works, then try it in yours, and it'll probably work in yours. But if not, go from there.
Okay. And I'll check out that solution to try and send a blob, because I managed to come this far. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
and if
lucky.
you have enough knowledge to do the blob thing, the way that you convert the images from blobs and data URIs and back and forth is just like quick. You get them on Stack Overflow. You can just get those code snippets. So you might even be able to figure out before I get to it for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Nuno. I'm sorry couldn't take you further and get it 100% there, but hopefully we will soon with Drew creating that custom action. Okay, so we are at time, but I know Micah had a question. Micah, are you still on the call? Let me see. Yes. Okay. Yeah, do you want to run us through what your question is, and we'll see if we have a few minutes to cover?
Well, I'm driving now, not at my desk anymore. So I just was wondering, what's the simplest way to implement an iframe into a Chrome extension?
Yeah, so you're wanting basically it's the same for any iframe that you want to put on any Bildr page. There is an iframe element that you can use, and you can literally just like put the URL into one of the inputs, and it should display the iframe. I think you can also set it with an action. I think you can actually set value into those. Dorian or Drew might.
Yeah, you just
remember that
target
better than
the iframe element for the URL. I believe it's into the source attribute. But yeah.
Yeah, so you can basically just like set any URL into that source inside of the iframe, and it'll just load that. What's the use case though? Are you wanting to?
Well, it's not just a URL like you would get, an iframe URL from Google Maps or something. It's like actually almost kind of like a whole template for like a half of a page. So it's a HTML embedded code.
Oh, I see. So it's like static HTML.
Yeah, with like API keys though, within that embed code.
I mean, generally for embed code, if you put like a regular text paragraph element onto the page, if you go like to the actual page and try to edit the text, this won't work. But if you go to that display text field in the properties, you can paste full code in there. And if it has a script tag, it will strip that out, but any other code will work. So like that would be a way. So if it's more than the actual iframe, like anything else, you can just paste it into the display text of a text paragraph. The only thing is, I don't know if being in an extension might change something there or not. I have no idea.
Shouldn't.
It
It should be the same. And Web3 DevDoc also just mentioned that he had created a new element
that's right.
type called a universal element that will actually run the script as well.
That's probably a better solution. Yeah.
Yeah. That way you don't get clogged up with any of that. And I think, Abdo, I think it is in the elements channel. I can go look. It was like a week ago, right?
I pinned it. Y'all are talking about the
Did you?
universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. I'll tell you where it is. Yeah, I pinned it in the elements channel.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you go into Discord and go into the elements channel, and then at the top, you'll see pinned messages. Oh, I don't see any pinned in there. You sure? You're sure it was in elements?
Yeah, it says y'all check this universal element out that he made a tutorial for if you go to it. You can also just search for universal element in the Discord search at the top, and you'll see. If you just scroll up from my message, you'll see it there.
I see it now. It's weird though. For me, it's not showing pinned. At least not in elements, not in the elements channel under studio.
Mhm.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe it's somewhere else that got pinned.
I think
Yeah, I don't see it in there.
I think it may be, yes, it was pinned in a thread. Help with
Was it
this?
in general?
Oh,
Oh, under thread, I see.
like a thread inside of elements.
Yes.
It's weird that it doesn't show up as like a, it doesn't actually just show up in there as a pinned thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say try
Y'all-
that element out. Sorry, Corey.
Weird. Y'all don't see it when you go to see all pinned messages? I
No,
guess it doesn't show.
I see it when I click the hash on the threads, and then it's the first one there.
Okay.
But maybe I do. Mine's out of date. I need to update it, so maybe they change stuff.